What's up, you guys? So here we have our lesson on family. We did this a little while ago. This is on page 164 of your textbook. You're welcome to kind of follow along on your own book if you prefer. So we went over family. It's not that bad of a topic, I guess you could say, that we have, mostly because a lot of the spellings you end up just having to change a letter in it, and it changes from like masculine to feminine, as in grandpa to grandma. So you will have quite a few of these that look really similar to each other, mostly because they are very similar. All they do is change a vowel. So we have Rodrigo. He's the one that's going to be talking about his family for us. And then we see a family tree. You can't see the entire tree on my screen all at once, but we have his family tree, and he's kind of talking about who everybody is, how they're related to him. So he starts off by saying, Soy Rodrigo. I'm Rodrigo. Vivo is a verb that means to live. Here, V-I-V-O, it's conjugated for him because he's talking about himself. The original spelling of the word is vivir, V-I-V-I-R, to live. So he says, I live, yo vivo, in Puerto Rico, con mis padres, with my parents. That's the word for parents. We have seen some of these words already, like throughout school in general, because I use them pretty often with you guys, but that word, it looks like the word for dad, padre. If you put the S at the end, it officially becomes the like group or pair word for parents. So he lives there with his parents. Ellos tienen, they have, this is an old word, to have, dos hijos. They have two, in this case, kids, two children. He says, yo soy, I am, su, which is the word for their. We're going to come across this in another video for possessive words, because he is their kid, not someone else's kid. So he says, yo soy, I am their son. So if you have the word hijos, O-S at the end, it means like kids or children. Technically, it could mean sons, like if a parent group only had boys, that would be their sons. It could also mean that. However, usually it's just seen as kids. You can describe it as sons, like if you guys, like if your parents only have boys, they call you guys your sons, I'm sure, or their sons. The only way for you to know which of these two words it's referring to is to kind of see the context or the other information around that word or that sentence. So if we just had like the little mini paragraph and we stopped at this word, nothing after that, we wouldn't know if he meant kids or if he meant sons. Because he continued and said how I am their son, su hijo, y mi hermana, and my sister, Ana, es su hija. That's the word for daughter, because now there's an A at the end. Then you know that he actually means like they have two kids, because one's a boy, one's a girl. But if he had said like yo soy su hijo, and mi hermano, and my brother, Angel or something, es su hijo as well, then you would know that they mean sons instead of just kids, children. So something to keep in mind. Sometimes based off those spellings, you won't know. Are they talking about two sons? Are they talking about two dads? And you have to kind of figure out the rest of the sentences to see which of the two meanings they mean. So, a family, two kids, one son, one daughter. So he says, te presento, let me present, right? A las otras personas, or the other people, en nuestra, in our family, familia. So then we go. If you haven't seen a family tree before, kind of the basic breakdown of a family tree is always the oldest family members that you're starting with on top, and then the younger, in this case the kids, towards the bottom. So just keep that in mind. You will always see family trees like this. So here we have two older people. Los abuelos, that's their title. Los being the, abuelos being grandparents. Technically, it could mean the grandfathers, as in multiple guy fathers, in this case, grandfathers. However, you see the picture, they just mean the grandparents, the grandma and the grandpa. So, like I mentioned, you tend to just change a vowel and it becomes something else. Abuela with an A for the grandma, abuelo with an O for the grandpa. So those are his grandparents, and he says Maria and Cristobal, the two grandparents' names. From there, wrong way, you see that they were together. They had two branches coming out of them because they had some kids. So, because we are seeing this from Rodrigo's point of view, because he's telling you about his family, he's not going to call them like the brother and the sister or whatever version it might be, maybe two brothers if they had two sons. But instead he just says like, these are my parents, los padres, and these are my tíos, or my aunt and uncle. So the parents, made up of la madre, the mom, and el padre, the dad. This is not an A-O situation where you just change the A or the O and then it becomes a different word. It's not like padro or padra. However, they do change the letter from an M to a P to make it match the mom or the dad. So it does still change really easily with a one letter, but it's a different letter. This is the only set of family members, you could say, that don't follow the like A-O spelling changes. So madre, padre, a little different. So these two parents, right, Celia and Jose, had some kids. And these are the picture of the two kids, which we kind of already know because Rodrigo introduced them in like the little paragraph he said. But he says los hermanos. So instead of calling them the kids, because again, they're not his kids, he calls it the siblings, because those are his siblings, or in this case, his one sister that he has. Los hermanos could be the siblings, like the people that your parents had kids with as well, so like your brothers and your sisters. It could also literally mean just the brothers, just like we mentioned, hijos could be children or sons. Os could be brothers if they only had boys, or if they only have brothers in their family. So he is the brother, el hermano, and his sister is the sister, la hermana. Rodrigo and Anna, as we know their names. On the second side of his family, he had los tíos. So coming back from the grandparents up at the top, right? In English, we have to say my aunt and uncles, or like my aunts and uncles if you have multiple aunts and multiple uncles. In Spanish, you can just say one word, tíos, and it includes both the aunts and the uncles. So I think that's a little bit easier because we can say parents, we can say grandparents, but then you have to say aunts and uncles separately, right? So here we have your aunts and uncles. Different than relatives because relatives could be anything, right? La tía for the aunt, el tío for the uncle. They follow the same A-O spelling rules. So these, this aunt and this uncle, Camila and Pablo, had some kids as well. Because it's coming from Rodrigo's point of view, this is los primos, or the cousins. So he has a guy cousin and a girl cousin. So again, los primos could mean just cousins, no matter who it is, or specifically just guy cousins. Here we have el primo, his name is Tito, his little cousin, at least he looks a lot younger. And la prima, or the girl cousin, who is Esther, or Esther. For the most part, of course, families are very different, and this does not mean that yours will look anything like it. Mine does not look like this at all either, but you have like some pretty basic categories that most people tend to have. For example, I have no siblings, so I would have nothing under the hermanos, but I do have a lot of aunts and uncles, so like my top part would be humongous. But for the most part, these are kind of the basic ones that we have. They do include el perro, the dog, and el gato, the cat, because I consider them a part of our families as well, but for the most part, this is our list. The only two words that they don't have on here, this is a different lesson I'll give you guys in a bit, is stepmother, stepfather. Looks kind of like the word for mom, looks kind of like the word for dad, but it's longer. Astra as your ending, or astro as the guy ending if it's a stepdad. So you pretty much still have mad that looks similar, but you put astra for the mom and pad, but then astro for the dad. So of course, a lot of us also have step parents, so you would have both of your step parents on here too. And if you end up having step siblings as well, you do the same thing. Astra for a step sister, so it'd be like hermanastra, or astro for a step brother, hermanastro. So you still have step siblings that you can also do like that. This was the family section though. This is on, like I said, page 164. And then I'll do a birthday one, or numbers and dates technically, as a separate video for you guys. All right, I'll see you in class.